Good morning. Since I've been in the business this week of reviewing books here on Mountain Beltway, I figured that I should continue that trend today, but I don't really have any time to write up anything lengthy. In fact, I've got about 5 minutes. So I figured what I could do is just really quickly review a few books that have been sitting here on my desk, basically waiting for a write-up on the blog for about 6 months. So I've got some climate books here. Let's see. Start off with Thin Ice by Mark Bowen. This is a pretty good one. It's basically a profile of Lonnie Thompson from Ohio State University, I think is where Lonnie Thompson works. But at any rate, he's this guy who's been going around and checking out tropical ice caps. So places like Peru and China and Papua New Guinea, he climbs up to the top of these tall mountains, Kilimanjaro, and cores the ice up there. And though those records are of shorter duration and sometimes less detailed than the traditional ice cores in Greenland and Antarctica, they really add to the picture of what's happening in mid-latitudes in terms of historical climate change. The book makes a strong and compelling case for anthropogenic global warming and Thompson's contributions to our understanding of it. And it's a good book. Basically, it's not just a climate change book. It's kind of a biography and an adventure story all in one. Another one is Ice, Mud, and Blood by Chris Turney. Chris Turney is a researcher in the UK, University of Exeter, I think, and right now he's in fact in Antarctica on an expedition. He's tweeting it if you're interested in following along. But this is a good one that basically looks at the evidence for climate change. It's a good introductory one, but there's nothing really extraordinary about it. What else have I got here? I've got What's the Worst That Could Happen by Greg Craven. Greg Craven did a widely viewed video on YouTube that basically took a rational approach to assessing the climate change debate. However, that led to him exploring the issue in more detail, and this book is a good summary basically of where he started on his intellectual journey and then where he went further when he got some constructive criticism from people who've seen his YouTube video. Greg Craven got a bit of fame lately because he made some pretty inflammatory statements at the AGU meeting, including one about Republicans basically having a credulous mindset, which I think didn't win him any new followers. I wrote a blog post a couple of days, into AGU about that incident, and he left a comment, so you can go back in the archives and check that out if you're interested. And then I've got one other climate-y book, and that's The Carbon Age by Eric Roston. This is a book which has as its focus carbon in general as an atom, as a substance, and it doesn't just focus on climate, it also focuses on things like diamonds and bulletproof vests and a bunch of other stuff. So basically, he went out to look at everything that carbon has to tell us and everything that's interesting about carbon. So that's what's in this book. And as a bonus, Eric is a friend of mine here in DC, and we occasionally get together with mutual friends to drink homebrew. So you should read his book for that reason. While I'm at it, let me mention two other books. One is Plows, Plagues, and Petroleum by Bill Rudiman. Rudiman's a professor at UVA. But this is a really interesting book that takes sort of a novel approach in looking at climate change from the geologic record, and it's basically makes the case that anthropogenic global warming has saved us from the advance of a new ice age, which is sort of a novel take on things. And he ties it into the history of agriculture and the production of methane gas in rice paddies, like is shown here on the cover. And that's a neat approach. So I found that a really interesting read. And one other that everybody should read is CO2 Rising by Tyler Volk. I don't have a copy of it here in my office, but that's a really good book which looks at the carbon cycle specifically. So it's not about anthropogenic climate change per se as its focus. It's about understanding the carbon cycle, and then it leads to understanding global warming. But the narrative conceit of that book is he looks at the fate of an individual carbon atom and the various things that it's part of over time, including limestone, being in the atmosphere as part of carbon dioxide, being captured by photosynthesis and incorporated into plant sugars, which are then fermented into a beer, which then the author drinks and then oxidizes and exhales again, and then it gets absorbed by the ocean. So you follow this one little atom around through time and get a better understanding of the carbon cycle as a result. So that's a quick review of 6 or so books about climate change, and enjoy them.